What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today is going to be our sixth and final segment on our MLB projection standings. We got to do the NL West still. If you like what you see today, hit me up with a sub, a like, comment. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know what you think I got right. So we've been through all of the AL, and we're down to our last few teams. I think they actually did a good job this time, and I'm a guy of content, so let's dive right into it. Okay, so again, I've said this in all the videos, but this is the projected standings. There's like a big simulation that everybody looks forward to every year, and they come up with basically what they think is going to happen for the season, and I think they get a lot of things wrong, and I think that so far they only had one division right, and maybe fortunately or unfortunately, I actually think that they got this division pretty accurate this year, and I'm going to go team by team so we can kind of do a little bit of analysis on why I think they got it right or why they got it wrong. So right off the bat, they're going Dodgers heavy, really heavy. 83% chance of winning the division, with San Diego kind of right behind them, and that's it. You know, they basically are saying one of these two teams is going to win the division, and I think that in general we can all agree with that. You know, if you're an Arizona fan, I'd like to know, are you really feeling confident that you could win the division over both of those teams? I'm guessing that you're not, and your hope is that you could make a wild card spot, which, you know, is just as good. Get there, you know, get to the playoffs and see what happens. So jumping in, I think that they got the order right. I think that they got the division percentages pretty accurately. I might knock this down slightly and give San Diego a little bit more because I really like what San Diego has done, and I think that there's a little hangover from the World Series, but you know, it's hard to have a hangover when you sign Trevor Bauer, who is one of the best pitchers in the league, and just add him right into the equation. So let's jump into the team and see why they're ranking them this way. We don't need to spend too much time on the World Series champs because they obviously have a great team, and they obviously have a really good offensive lineup. One of their better hitters yet to come is Gavin Lux, who's sitting down here on the bench. Obviously, Mookie Betts, one of the greatest hitters in our game today. Really, and Bellinger sitting here. We don't really need to go over this. I think Muncy comes up and hits above Will Smith. Not a big deal. Where they've really improved this year, of course, though, is right here in the starting rotation. So a lot of things people will forget, and is that David Price actually opted out last year. People probably don't forget, but David Price is still a good pitcher, even though he's 35, 36 coming into this season, as a number 5 or a number 4 potentially, depending on how they work with Dustin May and Julio Urias here. Don't forget, Dustin May is still on this team here. So, depending on what they do, David Price as your number 5 starter is pretty dominant, honestly. After seeing all these other teams, to appreciate how good this starting pitching team is, go watch the other videos because you're gonna know what I'm talking about. The top 3 are fantastic. They're gonna dominate the league. That's all there is to it. So what do they have them at? 104 wins. That seems about right. It could be higher. Hate to say if you don't like the Dodgers, but if you do, it could be higher. I think they coast to the playoffs, and we'll see what happens from there. Bullpen wise, Jansen's got to figure it out. I don't know what's going on with him. They got some guys who could potentially take over if need be, but he's got to figure it out. I think he does. I like him, as a fan, but and I'm rooting for him. I hope he figures out what's going on, because if there is going to be an Achilles heel at the end of the day, it's not coming from here. It's not coming from here. It would come from the bullpen. So if you wanted to knock them in any way, shape, and form, this could be the place to do it. But don't forget, Dustin May is not a part of this, so he's also in this bullpen. Yada yada. So we all saw it. San Diego is the next team there. So let's go ahead and look at them while we can. Everybody's been tracking them because San Diego is like a haven for fantasy sports, right? So for me, San Diego's clear-cut second best team in the division. This hitting lineup to me is just a bunch of mashers. Like, I think that this could be potentially the second or third best hitting lineup in the entire major leagues. Tatis and Machado back-to-back is such a force that you have to reckon with. I think Hosmer's more of like he's not like a great fantasy guy, but I think he's a good guy to have on your team and in real life. Grisham, he's already broke out but could continue to break out. I just love everything about this hitting lineup. And then going down to the starting pitching, the only problem with the starting pitching is there's some question marks, right? Lamet with the bicep injury. Clevenger is out, obviously, which, man, that would be awesome if they had Clevenger in there. But they do have Mackenzie Gore still there. Musgrove fills in. Like, this is probably very competitive with the Dodgers. I think that the Dodgers are more top-heavy because I don't think Snell really is comparable to Bauer, whereas, Yu Darvish and Kershaw probably are more comparable. Snell and Bauer are not as comparable. Lamet and I think Buehler is going to have a better year this year, but Lamet was really good last year. So, but and back down to the number 5, it's like David Price versus Chris Paddock. I think Chris Paddock's better. He's got far more upside. So, and then bullpen wise, a similar story to the Dodgers. If there's going to be Achilles heel, it's going to be here. Losing a closer, not really having a true closer, I'd say right now, could hurt them. I think Melancon will end up just closing, or Pagan, but we'll see how it goes here with the bullpens. Let's dig into Arizona. I think that it's obvious that these two teams are going to be at the top, and I think that the standings are pretty accurate. So let's just knock out these teams and see if we can spot any reason why they aren't ranked this way. Like, why is Arizona above San Francisco, right? So San Francisco finished better. So let's find out. Let's look into it here. Not the greatest of hitting lineups. There's a few standouts here that kind of had down years. Escobar had a down year. I think he bounces back to an extent, but it's not like a dynamite lineup. And it's so hard, and it's almost like, I don't want to say it's unfair, but it's so hard to invest in a team like in Arizona when you know that there's two just giants standing in your way. So, like, if you're an Arizona fan, I know what you're feeling, and it sucks, because it's like my owner doesn't want to invest because he knows that it would take a lot to win. I actually really like the starting pitching for Arizona. I think that this can compete with a lot of teams. Like, this top 5, if they stay healthy, is better than a lot of other teams' top 5s. I think the bullpen's okay. I think that their projection here is pretty darn accurate. I might even bump them up 1 or 2 games. Honestly. So San Francisco, I'm sorry, I'm not giving these guys quite as much love because I think they nailed this one. Most of the other ones, I really don't think they did a good job. Well, it's not that they didn't do a good job. It's just that I don't think that they had it right. Like, this is way off for me. This is way off for me. Yeah, where was it? This is way off for me. So this was off for me. So these ones, I think they actually did get pretty right this time. San Francisco has never had a sexy hitting lineup. They still don't. Pitching wise, it's interesting because, like, Kevin Gausman was the 4th overall pick a few years back, and it's always like, man, is he ever going to take off? And he finally had like a really solid year. But what are you going to get? Are you going to get that solid year again, or are you going to get the guy from all the previous years who's kind of like, oh, he's right there, he's going to break out? So through and through, San Francisco always seems to figure out a way to like win games. Regardless of not having very many sexy picks. Like this is kind of like a depth lineup, which I like. I like the strategy. I like the thought. Bullpen-wise, bullpen's actually pretty solid, especially if you're going off of their overall ranks here. So it's a team that stays competitive. Just based off looking quickly off their 2 teams, I think that whoever gets 3rd here will be competitive. I could see San Francisco getting up here in the 70 mark, or the 78 mark, and Arizona. Like, I could see them flip-flopped easily, but neither of them are going to get into this range, unfortunately. And then Colorado, oh boy. So how do I even want to start with Colorado? Unfortunately, this Arenado trade is really the forefront of Colorado. So here's the thing. I try to rationalize this in my head because the trade obviously makes no sense, right? The only thing I can think of, and I think the ownership came out and said this as well, is if you knew for a fact that Arenado was going to opt out of his contract, then this was an opportunity to get something for him. If you waited till the middle of the year, people might give you less knowing that they're only getting half a year from him as opposed to the whole year. Okay, I understand that, I suppose, if I have to, but boy, trading your guy that you have been backing for so long is such a kick to the face, and like, I feel bad for Colorado because I don't think that they're going to compete for the division. They've been really disappointing over the last few years. But I also felt like they weren't that far away from competing for a wild card spot. But now they essentially have no chance. I don't want to say no chance because Arenado, he's a fantastic player, one of the top players in the league, especially defensively. So you take him out of this lineup, and it just seems more barren. Charlie Blackmon's he's got age. He's getting older, and it's just not the same. It's not the same. So Trevor Story is going to take a dip, unfortunately. And the sad thing is, I do like this starting pitching lineup. They're not great, obviously, but all three of these guys have had good years. This guy's had clout, and they're all young still. So it's one of these things where it's I feel like it could have been something, but they just gave up and they didn't want to do it. Bullpen is not great, unfortunately. So it's just a very dark day for Colorado seeing that happen. And I don't think 61 wins is enough, probably. I think that they have more superstars and better depth than my boys over here in Detroit for this season. But the problem is Colorado is trending down hard, whereas Detroit will be trending up. And that's not where you want to be, unfortunately. So that's the NL West, guys. It was a little bit less exciting than the other ones because I full-on agree with just about everything that they have here. Maybe flip-flop Arizona and San Francisco if need be, but I definitely do not see any of the bottom three teams taking over the top two. I could see them fighting for a wild card spot, but I think they're going to fall ultimately short of the NL East teams. Unfortunately, I just think that they're better. But you never know what can happen here, guys. This is all division percentage, the percentage of winning your division, not making the wild card. So good luck to all the teams. Hope you enjoyed. Hit me up with a sub, a like, whatever you want, and we'll see you next time.